Hello, everyone, and welcome to this important episode of Ignition Time. Congress has officially passed the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan. This is great news for us. Let's show you this tweet on your screen from the official White House account. Congress has officially passed President Biden's American Rescue Plan. How will this help you and your family? So, this is essentially an educational effort from the White House to further educate our fellow Americans about exactly how this helps you and your family. So let's take a look at this page directly from the White House about the American Rescue Plan. As always, you'll get a link to all of our resources in the description section below. Now, as we scroll down this page, you'll see that the White House has provided different scenarios based on different life situations. So let's take a look at Avery's scenario. Avery is a part-time clerk and her income is $25,000 and her filing status is single. So what are the benefits for Avery? She will get a $1,400 stimulus check. And as you can see, Avery's situation is that at the beginning of the pandemic, her employer transitioned her to working from home and reduced her role to part-time. Since then, she's been struggling to pay for her usual household expenses like rent and utilities. Now, let's shift gears to Chris. Chris is a small restaurant owner with an income of $65,000 and his filing status is that he's married. He has no dependents. So what was the impact on Chris? For the past year, Chris's restaurant has been struggling to keep its doors open. They have been left out of previous Paycheck Protection Program loans, and this happened quite extensively because some of the large banks already had pre-existing relationships with the Small Business Administration, and then their clients essentially got first dibs at the Paycheck Protection Program money, which is why someone like Chris could have been left out. They have been left out of previous Paycheck Protection Program loan parameters and are now at risk of closing permanently without immediate support. So the impact of the American Rescue Plan for Chris is that he will get 2 stimulus checks worth $2,800 and there will be access to a new grant program specifically for restaurants. Now, let's shift gears to Sam and Lee. They are bus drivers and an electrician respectively. Income is $100,000, filing status married, and they have 2 children under the age of 6. So what is the impact for Sam and Lee? Sam and Lee are essential workers who have been struggling to maintain their working hours while managing their children's schooling from home. This is impacting many of our fellow Americans, millions. They are in need of an emergency financial boost to cover the cost of childcare. The impact of the American Rescue Plan, 4 stimulus checks totaling $5,600 and an additional $3,200 in child tax credits for Sam and Lee. Let's shift gears and look at Jesse, who's a small business owner. Jesse's income is $60,000, single filer, no dependents. So what was the impact on Jesse? Jesse owned a hardware store with 10 employees and she was able to hold off on layoffs for the past year, but without urgent financial support, she will need to lay off her staff by the end of the spring. What is the impact of the American Rescue Plan for Jesse? A $1,400 stimulus check, funding for work sharing programs to avoid business layoffs, access to flexible grants to get back on their feet and come back stronger for business owners like Jesse. Let's take a look at Jamie, who's a teacher making $55,000 a year, single filing status, and 3 children under the age of 6. So for Jamie, she's been teaching her classes from home while overseeing her 3 teenage children's at-home schooling and helping care for her elderly parents. So Jamie's got her hands full. She's in need of an emergency financial boost to help with rent, utilities, and food. So what's the help she's going to get with the American Rescue Plan? 4 stimulus checks for a total of $5,600 and additional $3,000 in child tax credits. This is very important. And safely reopen schools because the American Rescue Plan has funding for reopening schools. Let's take a look at Charlie, who's retired with 0 income. Okay, 0 income. He's married and has 0 dependents. Now, Charlie, this is where things get interesting, and this is very important. Now, Charlie's family struggled through the pandemic, and Charlie and his partner have been supporting their grown children financially and are now struggling to make ends meet themselves. Charlie and his family will get 2 stimulus checks for a total of $2,800 in this scenario. So hopefully that was a helpful overview of the American Rescue Plan. Now let's shift gears and show you the headline of an article on your screen from Politico. Biden has a recovery bill to sell and history to avoid repeating itself. It's a task that has befuddled his predecessors. How to promote an improving economy if not everyone feels it. The bottom line is this: the Democrats want to take credit for the American Rescue Plan. They want to take credit for helping all of the individuals that I mentioned earlier in our video. So the Democrats want to be able to essentially make a publicity move out of this, and they want to gain political mileage. You have heard me talk about this on our channel before. Politics is about timing, it's about opportunity, it's about tribalism, and it is about perception. Timing, the Democrats will say, we did this at a time the country needed it the most because the country has still not recovered from the pandemic. Opportunity, this is the opportunity for them because there's a Democrat in the White House, because the Democrats have control of the Senate and the House at the time being. That could change with the midterms coming up in 2022. As far as tribalism is concerned, the Democrats are going to say not a single Republican in the House or the Senate voted for the American Rescue Plan, and therefore they did not want to put stimulus checks in your pocket. We did the largest stimulus checks. And as far as perception is concerned, the Democrats want to say, we are the party that came to the rescue of the American people, hence the name American Rescue Plan. And speaking of rescue, the American Rescue Plan has overwhelming support from a majority of the American people. Here's a tweet on your screen from Ed O'Keefe, who is a CBS News senior White House and political correspondent. Ed writes that 3 in 4 Americans approve of Congress passing the American Rescue Plan. Large majorities of Democrats and independents, along with nearly half of all Republicans, approve of passage. Let's show you this statistic on your screen, and you'll see that there's 75% support, 94% among Democrats, 77% among independents, and almost half of all Republicans support the American Rescue Plan. And as all of this is happening, Bloomberg News has just reported that millions of our fellow Americans, you'll see this article on your screen, millions of our fellow Americans are missing out on stimulus survival checks. So this is the one thing that I believe President Biden simply had to do to get the conservative Democrat Joe Manchin on his side. There he is. What's up, Joe? How's it going? So President Biden had to make this concession in order to get Joe Manchin's vote in the Senate. Otherwise, the whole thing could have blown up. And let's go back to the article from Bloomberg. An estimated 8 million Americans were cut from the most recent round of stimulus relief payments in the interest of targeting money to those who need it the most. Folks, there's no way to have a perfect situation. Unfortunately, there were always going to be some individuals who are going to be left behind. I want to be as clear as I can. I've always been in favor of help for those who need it the most. But what this has done is for single individuals making more than $80,000 a year and for married couples filing jointly making more than $160,000 a year, the $1,400 stimulus checks were just gone, not available, not sent out either for them or any of their dependents. So therefore, 8 million of our fellow Americans were left out in the interests of more targeting, which was a political necessity to get the bill passed, because without that, the whole thing could have fallen apart. And because the conservative Democrat Joe Manchin wanted more targeting and the Democrats needed every vote in the Senate, they could not afford to lose a single vote. And if they had, we would not be celebrating the passage of the American Rescue Plan. I'll share the story of Samuel Suarez from the Bloomberg article. And by the way, you'll get a link to this article and all of our resources in the description section below. Samuel is from the suburbs outside of Raleigh, North Carolina, and he just missed the cutoff for this $1,400 stimulus check. Now, he has realized that he's not going to be getting the stimulus check, he and his wife. Now, he was laid off shortly after the pandemic, but he did find another job and he was on unemployment insurance for some period of time in 2022. Approximately 40 million of our fellow Americans were on unemployment insurance at one point or another in 2020. So Suarez has 2 children and he says the stimulus payments would have been extremely helpful as discretionary income or as an emergency fund in case he was to be laid off again. Here's a quote from Suarez in Bloomberg. "We do all right, but we're not rich by any stretch of the imagination. Our income goes awfully quick when you're spending half of it on your house and daycare." So that's where things stand, everybody. This difficult situation in which the targeting of the stimulus checks was necessary to get the bill to pass. And in that effort, it left out 8 million of our fellow Americans who simply needed the money, who could have used the money, but was simply not eligible for it. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Folks, I want to be clear. Perfection is the enemy of progress. There is no such thing as a perfect bill. Am I saying that these 8 million of our fellow Americans did not deserve the stimulus checks? Absolutely not. This isn't about that. This is about simply trying to understand the risk-reward ratio of every situation. The risk was not getting Joe Manchin's vote could have scuttled the whole thing, and the reward was getting his vote by making some compromises, by targeting stimulus checks, and unfortunately by leaving out 8 million of our fellow Americans get the passage of the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan, which is going to help 85% of American households. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. My specialty, in case you haven't figured it out already, check that out. I make it rain money. I make it rain money. I also have a crystal ball because I can predict the future. I can actually tell you what's going to happen tomorrow. I can actually tell you what's going to happen right now. Check that out. This crystal ball is going to disappear. And this raining money effect right now, I'm going to go like that and it's gone. Check that out. I can predict the future. I want you to please click the like button, please subscribe, please enable notifications if you appreciate my nerdy videos and my ridiculous antics. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to educate you about the country, about the economy, and about your money. I appreciate you. Please click the like button, please subscribe, please enable notifications. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.